16 electoral votes. That will mean that Biden goes from 264 to 284 and then all the way to 300, which will mean more than a comfortable victory for Joe Biden. Now, in fact, scenario 3 is if he wins Pennsylvania, which is 20 electoral votes, which means then he'll be at 284. So even if he wins just Pennsylvania and not Nevada, then also Biden is in comfortable ground. He reaches 284 electoral votes. What about if he doesn't win Pennsylvania, doesn't win Nevada, only wins Georgia? Georgia has 16 electoral votes. Again, he will be fine because from 264, he reaches 280. Essentially, he needs 6 electoral votes. Any state, any one state he wins, he is in safe ground. Even if it's Nevada, which has 6 electoral votes, then he just about touches the magic figure. What about Donald Trump? For Donald Trump to reach 270, the best case scenario for him is to go ahead and get all of these states. So that will mean flipping Nevada 6 electoral seats, which will take him from 214 to 220. What about the others? He'll have to get Pennsylvania, where counting is still on. That will mean that he gets 20 electoral votes. Then there's Georgia with 16 and North Carolina at 15. And then after getting all of these 4 states, he will then reach 271. So an uphill task, a tall ask really for Donald Trump there, from 214 to get to 271. All the 4 swing states of Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina and Georgia will have to go in his favor. That is the only scenario for him. Whereas for Biden, he does have a few options. He'll have to win any one of these states to actually have some sort of, to actually win the race to the White House. And I want to focus on just one of those states, Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania, clearly a keenly watched battleground state. President Donald Trump had already interestingly declared victory in the presidential polls. Pennsylvania, however, has not called the elections because there are more than 1.4 million votes by mail ballots to be counted. On September 17th, let me just give you a bit of a background here legally. The Pennsylvania court had ruled that mail-in ballots can be accepted up to 3 days, after the elections, and the counties can use drop boxes to collect these ballots. However, the state's Republican leaders urged justices to block the order on counting of absentee ballots. But the U.S. Supreme Court on October 19 said that poll officials could count absentee ballots as late as Friday. Trump, remember, while claiming his victory, accused Democrats of trying to steal votes, also has filed a lawsuit in Pennsylvania demanding that vote counting be halted.
It's a cascade, right? So what's going on is like an assembly line. So first you have ballots that just came in, they're sealed. They get sorted and prepared to then move from the sorting. After they're sorted, they move to the extraction table where they get run through and sliced, and a secrecy envelope is extracted, and then they have to be extracted again to take the ballot contents out of the secrecy envelope, and then they have to be unfolded and backbended and prepared for scanning. It takes time. It takes time to open those many ballots. As everybody knows, that's why we knew that it was going to take longer. And everybody, we continue to do it, and we're continuing to do it. And at some point today, we'll come out and we'll give you some numbers.
Let me take this across again to Isha Sarai, Voice of America correspondent, joining us from Philadelphia. Isha, keenly watched contest where you are, Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania. At this point, when do you expect, or what do the officials have to say, or when we can really expect the results from Pennsylvania?
So last week before the election officials in the state were saying that it could be until Friday before they had results. This morning, I've heard some election officials say that they could have full results by Thursday, which is tomorrow. So it seems likely that by the end of the week, we'll know the outcome of the election in Pennsylvania.
So, Geeta, it's like Isha said, this is something that's been stated already, that it could take time in Pennsylvania, and yet you have Trump crying foul, saying that, this is something that shouldn't be allowed. He's also filed a lawsuit. What do you make of the legal move that he's made so far, and do you think this is essentially setting the stage for him to go to the Supreme Court?
Well, first he will have to fight it out in the states, and it is very clear that with the tweets, the remarks, the statements that he's been making all through the campaigning, even before polls, he and his team were quite aware that these mail-in ballots, the early voting, are not by people who are Republican camp or Republican supporters. They're people who actually feared coronavirus. There were people who wanted to social distance, and the people who really wanted to go out there, put in their vote because they wanted to vote, but they did not want to risk themselves. So they knew the category of people who were mailing in early or going in for early ballot. And that's the reason why they had already, the Trump team already started calling it out as being involved in malpractices, that there could be cases and incidents of cheating. So yes, after all that, it is unlikely that Trump would not go to court on states like Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. If things don't go his way, which is what it seems like right now, he is certainly going to go the legal way. But the Biden camp, with Kamala Harris on board, is all lawed up as well, and they have their legal options and legal aid and legal team in place to counter Trump in court.
Okay, Geeta, thank you for that update. Isha, appreciate you also joining us on this broadcast. I know it's going to be a long night for you there in Pennsylvania because the counting is still on. We'll have to see when really the results come out. Thank you to both Isha and Geeta for joining us on this broadcast. So as I mentioned, Trump already crying foul. Their mail-in votes are currently being counted as we speak in the United States presidential elections, and Donald Trump's campaign team has gone ahead and filed a slew of lawsuits. So that's in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, and in Georgia. Trump's campaign sued to halt the vote count in Michigan and Pennsylvania. They've claimed that there's a lack of transparency. The campaign in its lawsuit also ordered officials in Georgia to follow the law on storing and on counting of absentee ballots. Trump's campaign team also said that it would seek for a recount in Wisconsin. This as Donald Trump once again cried foul, once again claimed that there was a fraud in the counting process. He put out a series of tweets where he claimed that he was leading in several key states that are run and controlled by Democrats, and says that later the votes started to magically disappear one by one, and that surprise ballot dumps, as he refers to them, were counted. Trump also claimed that poll officials are finding Biden votes all over the place in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Trump also claimed that 5 lakh votes have disappeared in the key state of Pennsylvania to favor his rival. All of this in a tirade on Twitter, but zero evidence to back up any of his claims. And let's also get you a quick roundup of all the latest updates that you need to know on the US elections. Clashes were reported between Trump and Biden supporters outside the north entrance of the White House on election night. Black Lives Matter protesters also clashed with police outside the White House, where 2 people were arrested. Protesters took to the streets of Manhattan on Wednesday, demanding that states count all ballots in the presidential election. New Yorkers chanted, "Demand democracy," and "Every vote counts," as hundreds of people gathered through the city. Hundreds of people gathered in Oakland in California on Wednesday to urge state lawmakers to count every vote after President Donald Trump called for a halt to ballot tabulations, with the election outcome still unsettled. Currently, ballot counting continues in several pivotal states. The United States witnessed several music and dance performances as part of the non-partisan social media movement #Joy to the Polls, as counting for the presidential election is underway. One such high-profile event was headed by rap musician Busta Rhymes in Harlem.
Joy to the polls!
More than 99,000 coronavirus cases have been recorded in the United States in the last 24 hours, setting a new daily record as counting of votes is underway. More than 9.4 million people have been infected. Over 233,000 have died in the United States so far. So as we await a final result of the US polls, yes, it's been a long wait. Democratic presidential-elect Joe Biden has already set a narrative in motion if he wins presidency. Biden has launched his transition website, Build Back Better. It states that a transition team has been set in motion to work on policies from the pandemic to an economic recession so that the Biden-Harris administration can hit the ground running on day one. On Wednesday, Biden also reaffirmed his pledge to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement on the first day of his presidency. The US officially withdrew from this accord, something that Donald Trump committed to in 2016. Biden has urged his supporters to keep the faith and said that he believes he will win. Even his running mate Kamala Harris has tweeted saying that every last ballot will be counted. Biden has in fact broken the record for most votes received by a presidential candidate and now has amassed more than 70 million. That's even more than Barack Obama.
I know how deep and hard the opposing views are in our country on so many things. But I also know this as well. To make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as enemies. We are not enemies. What brings us together as Americans is so much stronger than anything that can tear us apart. So let me be clear. We are campaigning as Democrats, but I will govern as an American president.
And back in India, prayers are being held for Kamala Harris, the vice presidential candidate of the Democrats. People held a special puja for her. This was at her ancestral village in Tamil Nadu, praying for her victory.
As the high-voltage US election counting continues, thousands of miles away in Tamil Nadu's Tulasindarapuram, people are praying for the success of Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Kamala Harris. In Tiruvarur, the ancestral village of Kamala, a special puja was held at a local temple for her success. The temple has Kamala Harris's name written on the wall. Her grandfather and other family members also have their names etched on it.
The trend will keep on changing, so I won't bother about that. I think Biden-Harris team will win in the end.
Kamala's posters have been erected on the roads and walls of Tiruvarur, and the villagers are hoping for her victory.
We really feel proud and we really want her to win the elections because being the vice president of such a big country is really a prideful moment for the Indians itself.
Family is my sister. Family is my best friend, my nieces, and my godchildren. Family is my uncles, my aunts, and my chitties.
Remember, it was during her nomination speech that Kamala Harris invoked her Tamil roots by calling out to her chittis or younger aunts.
My aunts and my chitties.
Since she was picked as Joe Biden's running mate for the 2020 elections, Kamala Harris, who identifies as Black American owing to her father's Jamaican heritage, has amplified her Indianness more than ever before, speaking frequently about her Indian mother and family back home in India.
There's another woman whose name isn't known, whose story isn't shared, another woman whose shoulders I stand on, and that's my mother, Shyamala Gopalan Harris. She came here from India at age 19 to pursue her dream of curing cancer. At the University of California, Berkeley, she met my father, Donald Harris, who had come from Jamaica to study economics. They fell in love in that most American way while marching together for justice in the civil rights movement of the 1960s.
Fellow Indian Americans, too, are rooting for Kamala.
Your grandpa looks so much like my grandfather.
Well, no, I did see that. I did, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's that same person. Yeah. It's literally that same person. That is my grandfather. Your grandfather is my grandfather.
I couldn't believe it. I got chills.
In only a few hours, we will know if Kamala Devi Harris, the girl from Tamil Nadu, becomes the new Vice President of the United States. With Akshaya Nath in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
And all the latest updates on the US presidential polls are up on our website, indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app to stay tuned with all the latest updates that are coming in. We're slipping into a short break. We'll be right back with lots more news. Stay with us.
थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग माई वीडियो. प्लीज़ मेरी वीडियो को लाइक, सब्सक्राइब और शेयर जरूर कीजिएगा. थैंक्स.